Hi, I'm Sarah. Today I'm going to read you the story of Robin, which is titled like this. When I found out my parents changed their will and left everything to my sister, I cut all ties with them. 2 weeks later, Mom called, panicking about overdue mortgage payments. I replied, "Let Monica help you now. She is your heir." Well, let's go. Hi everyone, this is going to be a long one, but I need to get this off my chest. My name is Robin and I'm 32. I work for a big pharmaceutical company and make decent money. Enough to buy my own apartment with a mortgage and live pretty comfortably. Let me tell you about my family first because you need to understand the dynamics here. I have parents, Mom is 58, Dad is 61. Then there's my younger sister Monica who's 28, and I had an older brother Jake who died in a car accident 3 years ago. Jake left behind his wife Sarah and 2 kids, Emma who's 10 and Tommy who's 8. Sarah's been struggling since Jake died. She works part-time at a grocery store and barely makes $25,000 a year. I've been helping her out with rent, groceries, school supplies for the kids, whatever they need. It's the right thing to do and Jake would have wanted me to take care of his family. Now here's the thing about my family, Monica has always been the golden child. She's the baby of the family and my parents have always treated her differently. When we were kids, she got the bigger room, the nicer clothes, more attention. If Monica wanted dance lessons, she got them. If I wanted art classes, there was never enough money. I used to fight it when I was younger, but eventually I just accepted it. That's how it is in our family. Monica works at some marketing firm making maybe $40,000, but she's always complaining about money. She still lives in a crappy apartment with 2 roommates and is always asking our parents for help with random stuff. So anyway, every month we have this family dinner at my parents' house. It's supposed to be this nice tradition where we all get together. Last month I showed up around 6 p.m. like usual. Sarah was already there with the kids, and Monica had just arrived too. "Hey Mom, hey Dad," I said when I walked in. Dad barely looked up from his newspaper and Mom just nodded at me while she was fussing over Monica's new haircut. "Oh Monica, it looks so professional, you look like such a businesswoman," Mom was saying, running her fingers through Monica's hair. "Thanks Mom, it cost me $200 but totally worth it," Monica replied, beaming. Meanwhile Sarah was trying to get Tommy to stop running around the living room and Emma was quietly doing homework at the kitchen table. I went over to help Emma with her math problems. We all sat down for dinner around 7. Mom had made her usual pot roast and mashed potatoes. The kids were chattering about school and Sarah was helping them cut their meat. Monica was telling some story about drama at her office while scrolling through her phone. Then Dad cleared his throat in that way that meant he had something serious to say. "We need to talk to everyone about something important," he began. The table got quiet except for Tommy asking for more ketchup. Mom looked nervous and kept fidgeting with her napkin. "Your father and I are having some financial difficulties." My stomach dropped, I knew where this was going. "My hours got cut at the hospital," Mom continued, "she works as a medical secretary. They're making me part-time now, so I'm only making about half what I used to." Dad nodded, "And my back problems have been getting worse. The doctor says I can't do the heavy lifting anymore, so I had to switch to lighter duties. Less pay. We're having trouble making the mortgage payments," Mom said, looking around the table. "This house will belong to all of you kids someday, well, Robin, Monica, and Sarah through Jake. You'll inherit this place and the lake house too. So we think it's fair that you help us keep it." The silence was deafening, even Tommy stopped asking for ketchup. Monica spoke first. "I wish I could help, but you guys know how tight money is for me right now. My salary barely covers my rent and student loans." Mom and Dad both nodded sympathetically. "We understand, honey, we know you're struggling too." Then they looked at Sarah expectantly. Poor Sarah looked like she wanted to disappear. "I would help if I could, but with 2 kids and my income," she trailed off. "Robin's been helping us just to get by." Now all eyes were on me. "Great. The mortgage payment is $2,000 a month," Dad said. "We need the money transferred by next week." I felt trapped. They were right, I was the only one who could afford it. My apartment mortgage was only $1,200 a month and I had money left over each month for savings and fun stuff. I guess I can do it, I said reluctantly. Suddenly the whole mood changed. Mom smiled for the first time all evening and Dad actually looked relieved. "Oh Robin, thank you so much. You're saving our home," Mom said. The rest of dinner was actually pleasant. We talked about normal stuff and the kids told jokes. But I kept thinking about how this was going to change my budget. No more weekend trips, no more nice restaurants, no more shopping for things I didn't absolutely need. After dinner, Sarah pulled me aside in the kitchen while the kids played in the living room. "Robin, I feel terrible about this. Since you're paying your parents' mortgage now, maybe I shouldn't ask you for help anymore." "Don't worry about it," I told her, "I'll figure it out. The kids need support and that's what Jake would have wanted." She hugged me. "You're the best sister-in-law ever. Jake would be so proud of how you take care of everyone." When I got home that night, I sat down with my laptop and recalculated my budget. My apartment mortgage, parents' mortgage, help for Sarah and the kids. That left me with maybe $800 for everything else: groceries, gas, utilities, phone, insurance. No more savings, no more fun money. But it was the right thing to do, and it wouldn't be forever. At least that's what I told myself as I set up the automatic transfer to Mom's account. So the first few months of paying my parents' mortgage were rough. I had to completely change how I lived. Before, I'd go out to dinner maybe 3 times a week, hit up Target on weekends just to browse and buy random stuff I didn't need, book spontaneous weekend trips to the mountains or the beach. All of that stopped. I started meal prepping on Sundays, making big batches of chicken and rice, soups, pasta dishes that would last me the whole week. My coworkers kept asking why I wasn't joining them for lunch at the fancy places downtown anymore. I just told them I was trying to eat healthier. The hardest part was helping Sarah and the kids while also paying the mortgage. Emma needed new shoes because she'd grown out of her old ones. Tommy's backpack broke and he needed a replacement. Sarah's car needed repairs. These weren't luxury expenses, they were necessities. But every time I transferred money to help them, I had to figure out what I could cut from my own budget. I stopped going to my regular hair salon and found a cheaper place. Cancelled my gym membership and started running in my neighborhood instead. Switched to generic brands at the grocery store. Little things that added up. The automatic transfer to Mom's account went through every month like clockwork. $2,000 on the 15th. I tried not to think about it too much. Then around month 4, I was scrolling through Instagram during my lunch break at work. I follow Monica even though her posts usually annoy me, lots of selfies and complaints about how hard her life is. But this particular day, my jaw literally dropped. There were about 15 photos from some fancy resort. Monica in a bikini by an infinity pool overlooking the ocean. Monica getting a massage at a spa. Monica at some upscale restaurant with cocktails that probably cost $20 each. The location tag said it was some 5-star place in Mexico. I scrolled through all the photos feeling sick to my stomach. This wasn't some cheap weekend getaway. This was easily a $4,000 trip, maybe more. Monica doesn't have a boyfriend right now. She's been single for like 8 months. So where the hell did she get money for this? I kept staring at the photos for the rest of the day. Here I was eating peanut butter sandwiches for lunch and shopping at thrift stores, while Monica was living it up at some luxury resort. It didn't make sense. The next family dinner was 3 weeks later. I walked into my parents' house and immediately noticed Monica's new purse, a bright red leather bag that I recognized as Coach. That thing cost at least $400. Her outfit was new too, designer jeans, some fancy blouse, shoes that looked expensive. She was showing Mom her new jewelry, gold earrings and a matching necklace. I sat down at the dinner table feeling more and more frustrated. Sarah was there with the kids, wearing the same old cardigan she'd had for 3 years. Emma's jeans had a small hole in the knee that Sarah had tried to patch up. Meanwhile, Monica looked like she'd stepped out of a magazine. After we'd all filled our plates with Mom's meatloaf, I decided to just ask. Monica, I saw your vacation photos on Instagram. That place looked amazing. How was Mexico? She perked up immediately. Oh my God, it was incredible. The resort was right on the beach and the food was unbelievable. I got a massage every day and just completely relaxed. Sounds expensive, I said casually. Her smile faded a little. Yeah, well, I saved up for it. Really? Because last time we talked, you said you were struggling to pay your bills. The table got quiet. Sarah was helping Tommy cut his meatloaf and Dad was focused on his plate, but I could tell everyone was listening. Robin, I don't see how that's any of your business, Monica said, her voice getting defensive. Well, it kind of is my business when I'm paying Mom and Dad's mortgage by myself while you're taking luxury vacations. Monica's face turned red. Are you seriously going to police how I spend my money? I'm not policing anything, I'm just pointing out that maybe you could help with the mortgage if you have money for $1,000 vacations and designer purses. Monica stood up from the table, her chair scraping loudly against the floor. You are so selfish, Robin, you always make everything about money. You think just because you make more than me, you can judge how I live my life? I think it's unfair that I'm sacrificing while you're not. You know what? I don't have to listen to this. Monica grabbed her expensive purse and headed for the door. Thanks for dinner, Mom, I'll call you later. She slammed the front door behind her. I looked around the table. Sarah looked uncomfortable, the kids seemed confused, and my parents were staring at me like I'd just kicked a puppy. Robin, that was uncalled for, Mom said quietly. Was it? I'm paying your mortgage while she's blowing money on vacations. Dad shook his head. Your sister got a bonus at work. She's allowed to spend her own money. A bonus big enough for a luxury vacation and designer clothes? While I'm covering her share of the mortgage? Monica is barely getting by, Mom said. You make good money, it's different. I felt like I was going crazy. How could they not see how unfair this was? I grabbed my jacket and left. The drive home was miserable. I kept replaying the conversation in my head, getting more frustrated each time. When I got to my apartment, I made myself a cup of tea and sat on my couch looking around at my sparse living room. No new decorations in months. Same old throw pillows. Same old everything. Meanwhile, Monica was probably posting more photos of her designer jewelry on Instagram. I was starting to realize that my family saw me as the reliable one who would always step up and sacrifice, while Monica got to be the fun one who deserved to enjoy life. And that didn't feel fair at all. After that dinner disaster, things were weird between me and my family for a while. Monica stopped responding to my texts and Mom would give me these disappointed looks whenever I came over. The whole situation was eating at me, but I kept paying that $2,000 mortgage every month like clockwork. The months kept dragging on. Every time the 15th came around and that money got automatically transferred out of my account, I felt more resentful. My savings account was basically empty now. I was living paycheck to paycheck for the first time since college. But I kept telling myself it was temporary. Eventually things would change. Then December rolled around and Mom called me. Robin, honey, would you mind coming over this weekend to help me decorate for Christmas? I'm getting too old to climb up and down the ladder. Sure, Mom, I'll be there Saturday morning. Saturday was cold and gray. I showed up around 10 a.m. and we started decorating the living room. After hanging some garland, Mom asked me to get the Christmas tree decorations from Dad's study. They're in those boxes on the top shelf. My arthritis has been acting up. I went into the study and climbed up on the desk chair to reach the boxes. When I grabbed the third box, it was heavier than expected and I almost dropped it. Some papers scattered onto the floor. That's when I saw it, a legal document with last will and testament at the top, dated 9 months ago, right when I started paying the mortgage. My hands were shaking as I read through it. The house I was paying for went entirely to Monica, the lake house too, everything. There was barely a mention of me or Jake's kids getting anything except some personal items. I walked back to the living room with the document. "Mom, what's this?" I held it up. Her face went completely white. Dad came in from the kitchen and stopped dead when he saw the paper. "That's just preliminary," Mom said quickly, "we haven't made final decisions. This is dated 9 months ago, right when you asked me to pay your mortgage." They started making excuses about how Monica needed security more than me, how it wasn't final, how they could change it. But I wasn't listening anymore. All I could think about was how they'd been lying to me this whole time. "I'm done," I said, folding up the will and putting it in my purse. "I'm keeping this as a reminder of how much my own parents respect me." I grabbed my jacket and left while they were still trying to explain themselves. When I got home, the first thing I did was cancel the automatic transfer to Mom's account. Then I made tea, turned off my phone, and went to bed early. I needed time to process this betrayal before dealing with whatever was coming next. The next morning I turned my phone back on. 12 missed calls and 23 text messages. Mom and Dad had called 6 times, leaving panicked voicemails about how I misunderstood everything and we needed to talk like adults. But what really got to me were Monica's messages. The first few were fake concern. "Robin, Mom told me you're upset about some paperwork, can we talk?" But then they got nastier. "You're totally overreacting about this whole thing. You already have your own apartment. I need somewhere to live eventually. And finally, you've always been obsessed with money. Some of us know there are more important things in life." That's when it hit me like a truck. Monica knew, she'd known about the will the whole time. That's why she was so confident she didn't need to help with the mortgage. That's why she could afford luxury vacations while I was eating ramen noodles. She knew she was getting the house anyway. I felt sick to my stomach. My own sister had been in on this deception while I sacrificed everything to pay for what would become her house. I didn't respond to any of the messages. Instead, I texted my parents that I wouldn't be coming for Christmas. An hour later, my phone rang. "Sarah." "Robin, what happened?" "Your mom just called me crying, asking me to talk to you about some family emergency." I told her everything, the will, the lies, Monica knowing all along while pretending she couldn't afford to help. "I feel so stupid, Sarah." "You're not stupid, you were being generous and loving, and they took advantage of that. This is unforgivable. Are you still going to their house for Christmas?" "Hell no, not after hearing this. The kids and I are not celebrating with people who would do this to you." She paused. "Would you want us to come to your place instead? Emma and Tommy would love to spend Christmas with their favorite aunt." So that's what we did. On Christmas morning, Sarah showed up with Emma and Tommy, their arms full of presents and homemade cookies. The kids were bouncing with excitement. "Aunt Robin, we're having Christmas at your house," Emma squealed, giving me a huge hug. "This is so cool," Tommy added. "Can we make pancakes?" We spent the morning making a big breakfast together. The kids opened their presents under my little Christmas tree, and their laughter filled my apartment in a way it never had before. We watched Christmas movies, played board games, and just enjoyed being together without any family drama or tension. "This is the best Christmas ever," Emma declared while we were building a puzzle together. "Really? Even without Grandma and Grandpa's big dinner?" "Yeah, it's just us and it's perfect." Sarah caught my eye from across the room and smiled. She was right, this felt more like real family than those tense monthly dinners ever had. As we sat around eating leftover cookies that evening, both kids curled up on my couch watching a movie, I realized something important. I hadn't lost my family today, I'd found it. The people who really loved me were right here in my living room. And for the first time in months, I felt completely at peace. The day after Christmas, my parents started calling nonstop. I let them go to voicemail while Sarah and the kids were still at my place, but I could see my phone lighting up every 20 minutes. When Sarah and the kids finally went home that evening, I sat down and played the voicemails. They were exactly what I expected. "Lots of you misunderstood and we can work this out and family should stick together." but nothing that sounded like a real apology or acknowledgement of what they'd done. The texts kept coming too. Monica sent me a long message about how I was being dramatic and selfish, and how she'd always known I thought I was better than everyone else because I made more money. She actually had the nerve to say I should be happy to help family and that I was acting like a spoiled brat. Reading that message was like getting punched in the stomach. Here was my sister, who'd been living it up on expensive vacations while I ate peanut butter sandwiches, calling me spoiled. That's when I made my decision. I blocked all their numbers. Mom, Dad, Monica, blocked on everything. Phone, social media, messaging apps. I was done being manipulated and lied to. But they didn't give up that easily. A week after New Year's, I heard knocking at my apartment door around 8 p.m. I looked through the peephole and saw all three of them standing there, Mom, Dad, and Monica. "Robin, we know you're in there," Dad called out. "We need to talk about this like adults." "Please just let us explain," Mom added, her voice all shaky and emotional. I stayed quiet and didn't open the door. "Robin, you can't just cut off your family," Monica yelled, "this is ridiculous. You're acting like a child." That made me laugh out loud. I was acting like a child? I walked closer to the door so they could hear me clearly. "There's nothing to talk about," I called through the door. "You lied to me for months. You took my money while planning to give everything to Monica. And Monica, you knew about it the whole time." "We can change the will," Dad said desperately. "I don't want you to change it, I want you to leave me alone. I'm not helping you financially anymore and I don't want to see any of you." "You can't abandon your family," Monica screamed. "Watch me." They kept banging on the door and yelling for another 20 minutes. My neighbors probably thought I was being murdered. Finally they gave up and left. But apparently they were really desperate because Mom called Sarah the next day. "Your mom wants me to convince you to help them with the mortgage," Sarah told me over the phone. "She's crying and saying they're going to lose the house." "What did you tell her?" "I told her what she did was unforgivable and that she should be ashamed of herself. I also told her that if she contacts me again trying to manipulate you, I'll get a restraining order." A week later, Mom called me from a different number, probably borrowed someone else's phone thinking I wouldn't recognize it. She was in full panic mode. "Robin, please, you have to help us. We can't make the mortgage payment. We're going to lose everything." "You already decided to give everything to Monica," I said calmly. "So Monica can figure out how to pay for it." "Monica doesn't have that kind of money." "Then maybe she shouldn't have spent thousands on luxury vacations while I was covering her future mortgage payments." "She didn't know about the will." "Mom, I have her text messages." "She absolutely knew. She told me I already had an apartment and she needed somewhere to live." "Stop lying." "What are we supposed to do?" "I don't know and I don't care. You made your choice when you decided to deceive me." I hung up and blocked that number too. Sarah kept me updated on what was happening with them over the next few months. Apparently they couldn't handle the mortgage payments and had to put the lake house up for sale to try to cover what they owed. But even selling it wasn't enough for the full mortgage payoff. Monica had to move out of her apartment and back in with our parents to help with bills. She got a second job waitressing on weekends. No more designer purses or expensive trips. Mom went back to working full-time even though her arthritis was getting worse. Dad started physical therapy to try to get back to his old job doing manual labor. According to Sarah, Monica was furious about the whole situation and kept telling people that I was selfish and vindictive. She apparently said I was trying to punish the whole family just because I didn't get my way. She actually said you were jealous of her, Sarah told me during one of our weekly phone calls. Can you believe that? You were literally paying her bills while she lived it up, and she thinks you're jealous. Some people will never get it, I said. Monica's always been the golden child. She can't understand why her big sister won't just sacrifice everything for her anymore. Well, for what it's worth, I think you did exactly the right thing. Now it's been 6 months since I found that will and everything changed. I haven't spoken to my parents or Monica once. I don't miss the drama or the guilt trips or feeling like I was never good enough compared to my perfect little sister. My life is so much better now. I'm back to saving money every month. I can afford to take Sarah and the kids out for nice dinners. I bought myself new furniture for my living room and booked a vacation to Hawaii for next month, my first real vacation in over a year. Sometimes I wonder if my parents regret what they did. If they miss having me around. If they realize they lost a daughter who actually cared about them and would have helped them legitimately if they'd just been honest. But then I remember Monica's text messages calling me obsessed with money, and my parents' shocked faces when I found that will, and I know I made the right choice. I found out through mutual friends that they're still struggling financially. The mortgage is current now but just barely, and they had to give up a lot of things they used to enjoy. Monica's working 2 jobs and living with roommates again, her parents. Meanwhile, I'm thriving. Sarah and the kids come over every weekend and my apartment feels like a real home now, full of people who actually appreciate what I do for them. I learned something important from all this: family isn't just about blood. It's about respect and honesty and genuinely caring about each other. And sometimes the people who share your DNA are the ones who treat you the worst. I don't regret walking away. I regret that it took me so long to see what was really happening. But I'm grateful I figured it out before I wasted any more years being their personal ATM while they planned to give everything to their favorite child.